So, all right, guys, we got to get this one right. On three, we're going to say, welcome back to Extraordinary Thoughts for on their mind. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to Extraordinary Minds.
And we back.
That'll work right there.
Yeah.
And we back. And we
Yeah.
back. And we back. And we
Y'all did y'all best. And that's all that matters.
What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm your host, Demetrius Thigpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. Now, I'm going to just be 100% honest with you. I'm not a fan of like the live episodes. Let me rephrase. It's not that I'm not a fan. I'm just not comfortable with doing the live episode while, I'm live and then I'm recording, interacting and everything like that. It's just a lot going on initially. So I always have to there's a moment where I have to adjust and get myself together, if that makes sense. I got to get myself right on the game plan to be all right, I'm live. The episode's going. Don't fidget. Don't forget that you got a live audience. Ensure that you're interacting with the live audience. If they have questions, make sure that you're answering the questions. Don't forget to take time out to breathe and to look back up and make sure that you're still on the point. And a couple of things I just want to address. Thank God I'm back out of the barracks. Thank God I'm out of the barracks. I'm going to just be 100% with you. I am no longer a barracks Marine. It ain't in me. It ain't in me no more. I'm no longer a barracks Marine. Being stuck in them barracks was not for me. It wasn't for me anymore. You feel me? I came a long way from sneaking motherfuckers into my barracks room. It just ain't for me. I gotta be 100% honest with you. It just wasn't for me no more. Sitting in there and honestly eating that chow hall food. Lord Jesus, I'm gonna just be 100%. Them bringing that food to me every single day, I thought would be the highlight. That was such a depressing moment because I would open up the tray and I would look and I'd be like, oh, I know this shit ain't fit for human consumption. I know they don't think I'm about to eat this. I tried to Uber Eats. I tried to order pizza. I tried to watch my figure. It just wasn't for me. But the reason why I decided to do the episode live is because initially I was going to do a live yesterday. You see what I'm saying? I was going to do a live yesterday. And as I was getting ready to do the live, I was thinking to myself and I was like, damn, I don't think I really got all my information together. You know what I mean? I don't think I got my information together to get out here and really articulate my words. Now, I done finessed a lot of things, but one thing I don't like to do is finesse information, especially when I can go out and learn more on it. And the topic that I really wanted to talk about was boundaries. It was boundaries. And as soon as I cut that episode, I sat back and I started thinking, what are boundaries? Why are boundaries so important? And why do I need to have boundaries? And I ain't gonna lie to you. Let me take a sip. I'm not gonna lie to you. As I started to sit back, I had to be a little bit transparent with myself. I had to really go back and ask myself, how many times have I allowed something to happen that I swore up and down that I said that I wasn't going to allow? How many times have I let someone get away with something that I know for a fact I should have busted them in their mouth for, or at least I should have at least spoken up for? And then I started to think a little bit deeper, And I started to think, how many times have I taken in information that I know I should have stopped right there and not listened to? And not in the sense of, oh, I don't want to listen to it because, I'm just ignorant. But I don't know who needs to hear this. But when you send me them long paragraphs of emotional information and I didn't ask for, I shut down. I shut the fuck down. For real. Getting into this mindset space and talking about overcoming obstacles, being a better version of yourself, talking about traumas, talking about healing, talking about doing the shadow work, I unknowingly invited so many people into my life because it just became so transparent. I had to be transparent. And when you invite so many people into their life, just like a potluck, just like a Christmas party, just like a gathering, they bringing shit. And the thing is that my first year, I was taking in so much fucking information. What's going on? I was taking in so much information. Every time I would go into my DMs, it would just be like, oh, you know, you're so motivational, X, Y, and Z. I love your show. Keep going. I love your videos. And I'm like, okay, I can fuck with that. Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, because words of affirmation is just really one of my love languages. I love to be praised. But then it would be the other ones. And they would start it off, right? They would start it off like, oh, you know, your show is X, Y, and Z. And then list the things that have happened within their life. And I felt at first obligated. Like I felt obligated to hear it. I felt obligated to give my opinion. I felt obligated to try to unravel and try to help them figure out and sort out the shit that was going on within their life. But what I did not know is that there's an emotional toll that came from each person. Now you got to think about it. On average, I'm opening this up and I'm talking to at least 3 to 4 people a day. And as I'm talking to them, they're dropping off trauma. They dropping off emotional weight. They dropping off some shit that happened in their childhood that I don't know why they think like the T and Thig pen is for therapists. I don't know why they bringing that information to me. They talking about sexual assault. They talking about, you know, violence with their significant others. They talking about all of these things. And I'm feeling obligated to help. But the reality is that I'm not doing them any good. The only thing that I'm doing is getting crushed by their emotional weight. And over time, what I ended up doing is starting to shut down. I started to shut down. And the reason why I started to shut down is because I had to realize I'm an empath. I feel that. You see what I'm saying? When you have a negative emotion, I feel the negative emotion. And when you bring those emotions to me, although you feel like you may have healed from them, like you feel like you got over it, I'm not about to get over that. You see what I'm saying? We two different people. I handle things way differently than a lot of people do. So when you think that you've gotten over it, I'm feeling like I'm going through the trauma myself. I feel like I'm the one that got violated. I feel like I'm the one that got hurt. I feel like I'm the one that's going through the issue. And each day it would just take from me. It would take from me. And I thought that I would recharge. But the thing is that I wasn't recharging fast enough. I wasn't as recharging faster than what was taken. So although I'm putting something back in, the hole is so big that I'm still losing stuff. And it really came to a head when I thought that I wanted to get into coaching. And I do want to get into life coaching, but I feel like, and this is something that does not get talked about enough. Before you can help someone else, you must know how to help yourself. Before you can teach someone to be strong, you must be strong yourself. Before you can teach someone to have patience, you must have patience yourself. And the thing is that it's so easy to get out here, right? It's so easy to get out here and tell somebody like, hey, these are the plans that I do. You know, this is going to work in your life. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Other people's lives are different than your own. And when I first jumped into coaching, because I jumped into coaching, as soon as the podcast launched, I had a couple of clients under my belt. But the thing is I never set a boundary with them. Never set a boundary with them. Call me when you need me. Text me when you can. If you got an issue, call me. We can figure it out ourselves. And the problem is that I was new at coaching. And for those who don't know, my patience is at an all-time low. Okay? Like, I know patience is a virtue, but it ain't one of mine. Okay? And I was having clients, like, they were literally calling me at all times. And when they would call me, they drop in emotional weight immediately. And it was getting to the point that I recognized their number and I didn't even want to get on the phone with them. I'm in a good mood. I don't want to hear that bullshit today. And it came to a head finally when I'm going to an event. The person who booked me for the event gave me the wrong address. I'm rushing. And this person calls. One of my clients calls me, right? And as soon as I get on the phone with them, they drop all of this emotional weight. They drop all of this emotional weight. And as soon as they drop all this emotional weight, not knowing that I'm not ready to receive this. And when I'm not ready to receive something, I have a tendency to lash out. You see what I'm saying? Like when something catches me off guard, I'm gonna assure you I can catch you right back off guard. And unknowingly, I went the fuck off on her. I just went off on her. We had already went through this issue before, yet you're still going through the exact same problem. I was doing more harm to my clients than I was as far as like helping them. I wasn't helping them. And when that happened, I stopped coaching. And the reason why I stopped coaching was I can't coach you if I'm the one that still needs to be coached. I can't help you heal when I'm the one that still needs to be healed. I can't be the one to tell you that you need to set boundaries with yourself when I have no boundaries. So with that being said, as we dive into this Friday episode, I really want to talk about boundaries and why it's important to have them. So first things first, for those who don't know what boundaries are, a boundary by definition is a line that marks a limit. It's pretty much as if there was a gate and there was a house behind it, your boundaries is that gate. In a relationship, good personal boundaries is critical to creating healthy relationships, increasing self-esteem, and reducing stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, setting boundaries means being able to communicate with others. And I really got to stress this one right here. When you set boundaries, right? When you set boundaries with yourself, you got to understand one thing. It is not my job. It is not my job to reinforce your boundaries. It is not my job to reinforce your boundaries. Okay? It is not my job to make sure I don't cross your boundaries. You see what I'm saying? Like I can't stress that enough. We create these boundaries, right? And then we get mad at the person that crossed them, but we don't hold ourselves accountable for stopping them at the gate. And for my military folk that know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've ever been on base before, you know that before you can get on base, before you have access to that base, you have to go through the gate first. There is a gate guard there that is going to check your ID. And on a good day, I tell you this, on a good day, he gonna stop you, tell you that you need to park over there, and you probably gonna check your vehicle. And a lot of times, this is the thing, is that we set these boundaries, right? We set boundaries, but then we don't reinforce them. We set boundaries. We say that, hey, X, Y, and Z, I don't allow X, Y, and Z in my life. I don't tolerate X, Y, and Z in my life. But the thing is that the moment that they get crossed, you sitting there mad at the person for crossing them, but you're not mad at yourself for stopping them at the gate. So when we set boundaries, first things first is that one, I have to communicate them. Two, I have to reinforce my boundaries. And I reinforce my boundaries by one, vocalizing what my boundaries are. And your boundaries is going to determine whether or not it's going to determine what you are and who you are and what you like and what you don't like. As a person, I won't know what you like and what you don't like. As a person, I don't know how you want to be communicated as. Now, you would think that humans naturally would talk to each other with respect, but let's just be frank here. I'm going to talk to you however you allow me to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you however I want to talk to you. Now, luckily, I tend to talk to people with respect, but others will talk to you however they choose to talk to you. You have to be the one to set that boundary. You got to be the one to set that. And this is the thing right here is that when you set your boundaries, you know what I mean? Like when you set your boundaries, you can't go back on, you can't renege on them. All right. You can't renege off of like the emotional issue that you might cause. When you set a boundary and somebody says like, oh, well, you know, you being sensitive. I don't care. I don't care if I'm being sensitive. I don't care if you feel like I can't take a joke. I don't care if you feel like as if like, you know, I'm just not being fun. These are my boundaries. These are my boundaries. And when you're dealing with a mature person, that mature person is going to sit back and they're going to be like, okay, I respect that. Okay, I understand that. Okay, I get that. But if you're dealing with an immature person, they're going to get mad. But once again, how somebody feels about what you say is none of your business. That's their problem. How somebody reacts to your boundaries, you know what I mean? How somebody reacts to your boundaries is not your problem. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they get upset, that's not my fucking problem. You knew the gate was electrified, but yet you still touched it. You knew there was a fence there, yet you still crossed it. You knew there was a dog there, yet you still crossed it. So don't get mad at me when the dog bit you. Can I just go ahead and just be transparent? Can I just go ahead and be transparent since we talking about just reinforcing boundaries? At some point in my life, right? And I bring this up, right? I bring this up because there's a certain level of maturity that you have to have with yourself. And I say that there's a certain level of maturity that you have to have with yourself because you got to understand how you react when your boundaries get crossed, right? You got to know how you react when your boundaries get crossed. And one thing about me is that I know how I'm going to act. I try to give as much respect as possible because I know exactly where I'm going to take it if it go there. I already know how I'm going to act and where I'm going to take it the moment that my boundaries get crossed. And the reason why, right? The reason why I do that is because at one point I got bullied. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, you can tell, like, my voice is kind of soft. I got a softer voice, right? Forehead wasn't always as big, but I had very feminine features. I had very feminine features and I was very flamboyant. So naturally, like, you know, I was always getting tried. I was always fighting. I'm always having to stand up for myself. Always X, Y, and Z. Now, here I am in California and I come across this individual and I think we friends. And this is one thing I got to let you know right now. Communication is so key and understanding boundaries is so key in early relationships because it's going to determine and it's going to dictate how the relationship is. So if you don't set, or let me rephrase, if you don't establish boundaries early on in a relationship, you cannot get mad at why your relationship is shitty because you didn't establish the initial boundaries. You did not put up the fucking terms and agreements in the very beginning. You coming out of left field saying like, hey, this is X, Y, and Z. But I will say that if these are the things that you want to come out of X, Y, and Z, go for it. However, it's always best to do it up front. So here I am, you know, we going out, we hanging out. I'm new to the city. You see what I'm saying? We going to different parties and stuff. Initially, the friendship is cool. But then he starts saying weird stuff to me. You know, like he started talking to me a little crazy. And at first, I let it slide. I let it slide. Because one, I didn't know. Maybe that's just how he talked. Two, I didn't want to be, you know, maybe I'm just being a little sensitive. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm just being a little sensitive. I'm out of Detroit. Maybe this is just how different people from different locations talk. As it went on, you see what I'm saying? As it went on, the way he spoke to me got more, it got worse. You know, it got a little bit more aggressive. And it went from more of an asking tone to a demanding tone. And then from demanding, it went from, I'ma just do and say whatever I want to do when I'm around this individual. And I really want to say this right here. Without boundaries, when you hear those stories about an anthill turning into a mountain, without boundaries, that's how the anthill turns into a mountain. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. There ain't no such thing as overnight success, but there's also no such thing as an overnight destruction. It's the little things that start off and then they blossom into some bullshit. So what I mean by that is that at first it started off with just simple verbal things that he said. Next thing you know, we had a drive-through. I'm paying for my food. He said he ain't got no money. I said, all right, well, that's cool. He reached into my damn cup holders, grabbed the change out of my cup holders and says, use this to pay for it. I'm like, dang. And as I sit back, I laugh at myself. Because I can't believe I allowed it to go for so long. But the moment it came to a head when I forgot what he said to me. I forgot what he said to me, but I said something back. I immediately said something back. And the moment that I said something back, it caught him off guard. And now here we are about to take it to the next level. Here we are now, we fighting. And I don't know about you, but I will fight. I will fight in a heartbeat. I don't care. And I had to say this right here. If I would have set my boundaries in the very beginning, I probably wouldn't have been in that situation. There have been a lot of times where I found myself in very, very physical situations where somebody has crossed my boundaries. And I say that you have to understand where your boundaries are and know exactly where you're going to take them. And if you know exactly where you're going to take them, if your boundaries are crossed, you know what situations you need to put yourself in and what situations you don't need to put yourself in. I was downtown one time, and one thing I'm going to tell you is because I was bullied at one point, I will lash out if it ever happens again. I will immediately lash out. If my boundaries are crossed, you can understand that physical violence is about to come next. You can guarantee that that's going to happen. And we're downtown, and it was when I had first released the book. I ain't really talked about it publicly, but we're downtown, and it was when I first released the book. And when I first released the book, I'm out there, promoting it. I'm having conversations, and this young lady, she comes up to me. She's drunk. She's with a group of people. They get to talking to me. And I tell her like, hey, I'm an author, X, Y, and Z. I pull the information up on my phone to show her. And as I'm showing her the information, her boyfriend walks over to me. And when he walks over to me, I can already feel what the energy is. Now, there's a certain level of maturity that I should have had with myself. I could have easily removed myself out of that situation. But I pushed it. And when he came over there, I'm looking at him and I'm like, hey, I'm just showing her my book, and I pull it up and I'm showing both parties the book. And when I tell you, he was vaping, and he took a big puff of this vape and just blew it down into my phone in a disrespectful manner. And when I looked over at him, and I'm like this, and I just said it in my head. I was like, look, man, I'm going to be 100% with you. Ain't no way in God's hell is somebody that fucking vapes about to punk me out down here. And when he did, now mind you, there's a boundary I had. And I already done said, I don't tolerate being bullied. I don't tolerate being pushed around. So when that happened, I already knew where I was about to take it. And as soon as I pushed him back and said, hey, man, you need to create some space between me, he said, don't touch me. As soon as he said that, pow, right in his face. I'm downtown fighting. Published author, downtown fighting. And the reason why is because I'm reinforcing my boundaries. However, I completely missed, and let me rephrase, I completely ignored my maturity level. I completely ignored what happens when somebody crosses my boundaries. I completely ignored that. I know how I am with somebody cross my boundaries. I know what happens when I do that type of stuff. So I will say that when you set your boundaries, you also have to have a certain level of transparency with yourself. Know that if this happens, I know where I'm going to take it. So rather than put myself in this situation, I refuse to put myself in it. Rather than put myself in this situation, I'm going to go ahead and remove myself, because I know that if you cross my boundaries, if you cross them, I already know how I'm about to act. I already know I'm about to act up in this job. I already know that I'm about to cut up downtown. I already know I'm about to get us both put out of this situation. So rather than that, I'm going to just remove myself. And this is the thing, is that when you have boundaries, right? There's a certain level of self-respect that has to come with it. And I'm going to just be 100% with you. A lot of y'all don't respect yourselves. And when I say a lot of y'all, I'm really talking about myself in the past tense. And when I say I'm talking about myself in the past tense, at some point, I really didn't respect myself. And I say that I didn't respect myself because I was creating these fucking boundaries, but I wasn't reinforcing them. I'm lying to myself. And I say that you lying to yourself, because how the hell you supposed to create a boundary, but you can't even be honest in where the measurements and what the boundary is supposed to be? You telling me that we need to put the gate right here, but in reality, the gate needs to be a little bit further up, because you're not being honest. You know how hard it had to be for me to tell myself that at one point I was bullied? You know how hard it was for me to acknowledge that I already know I got a bad temper, so my boundaries need to be a little bit more? Do you know how hard it is to let myself know that, hey, you're sensitive? So if your boundaries get crossed, you do take it a little too far. So your boundaries needs to be up front. You need to be able to vocalize that. But the problem is that you can't even reset your proper boundaries because you're not even being honest with yourself. You telling yourself that you want to get into a good relationship, you're not about to tolerate bullshit, but as soon as the first red flag of bullshit, you ignore it and think that it was just a false flag. You ignoring it. You have to be honest with yourself when you set boundaries. And honestly, before you can set boundaries with anybody, you got to be able to set boundaries with yourself. You ain't reaching your goals because you have zero boundaries with yourself. You can't lose the 10 pounds because you keep reneging on your deal. You keep reneging on the diet. You can't get that extra money in your pocket because you keep reneging on your goals. It's one thing for somebody else to cross your boundaries. It's another thing when you cross your own boundaries. And when you cross your own boundaries, to be honest with you, you're lying to yourself. You pretty much, when you came to God and pretty much lied. And I got a chance to hear another person speak on this manner right here. You know, we've all been in this situation where we said like, hey, God, you know, if you get me out of this situation, I promise I won't do it again. Why are you lying to God? Why are you lying to God right now? You know that as soon as you get out of this situation, the next chance that you get, you're going to find yourself in this situation again. Why are you lying to God? And I say that right there, and I use that analogy because a lot of times we set these boundaries with ourselves, but we lying to ourselves. We saying that we ain't going to allow this to happen, but we already know that as soon as it happens, we allowing it. Like as soon as this happens, we opening up the door and say, hey, everybody come on in. So I would say before you set a boundary with anybody, you have to set the boundaries with yourself first. And that's got to be the hardest person because you know you. So before you set it with your family, before you set it with your spouse, before you set it with your friends, before you set it with your coworkers, before you set it with a stranger down the street, set it with yourself first. Establish a certain line that you know that you're not crossing with yourself. So that way you can reinforce it. Because I'm going to be 100% with you. I'm not going to respect your boundaries if you don't respect your boundaries. I'm not. Because why am I respecting something that you call that you consider imaginary? Why am I respecting something that you don't even acknowledge? Why am I giving it more energy that you refuse to give it, but you the one that created it? It's not my job to respect your boundaries. And I can't stress that enough. It's not my job to respect your boundaries. Those are your boundaries. Now, I'm going to respect my boundaries. I'm going to let you know how I want to be talked to. I'm going to let you know how I want to be treated. I'm going to let you know how this communication is going to go. But it's not my job to respect your boundaries. You have to respect your boundaries first. Now, family, I'm going to just be 100% with you. The second hardest part is to set up boundaries with family, to set up boundaries with family, because it's one thing for you to know yourself, right? And you know yourself and you know the journey that you're on and you're witnessing your process as it's happening. So as you grow, you are able to adjust and recalibrate the boundaries because you know exactly the maturity level, the self-improvement, the growth. You get where I'm going? However, family is not with you all the time. They're not with you all the time. Family probably was with you when you was a kid. They probably seen you when you was a teenager. They probably seen you when you were a young adult. But for us military members, they probably see us every, a year, 6 months. Shoot, I ain't see family. I ain't go back to my home state for almost 4 years. 4 years is a long time. There's a lot of growth in those 4 years. And when I would go home, my family, and this is one thing, and this is why I say that you gotta have a certain maturity level about yourself. And the maturity level is understanding everyone around you. Now, I'm not saying dive deep into them as if they're like a Webster dictionary, but at the same time, you got to understand their mindset with you. They don't know who you are right now. Their version of you was the last time that they saw you. So if I haven't been home in almost 4 years, the last time that they know, the version of me that they know is an obsolete version, 4 years old. So when I come home and I'm a completely different person, and you've heard that before, family always say, like, you've changed. You damn right I've changed. I've been experiencing life. You damn right I changed. Fucking Dogecoin dropped. I lost almost 2 bands. You damn right I changed. But they don't know that. So it's so hard to set boundaries with family because you're constantly coming back with different boundaries because you're constantly growing. You're constantly getting better. So when they see you, they try to, and this is the thing right here, because they used to know you, they think that they have old access to you. Because they knew you in 2015, but you ain't seen them since 2015, the person who you are in 2015 doesn't even exist anymore. but they think that that version is still there. So they treat you as the 2015 version. I'm going to just be 100% with you. One of my most popular episodes is Cancel Your Subscription with Me. And I had to go back and listen to what Cancel Your Subscription was talking about. And I unknowingly started talking about boundaries. And I did not realize I was talking about boundaries. And as I mature as a podcaster and I mature as a speaker, I realized the magnitude of what I had said. We all got Netflix. We all got Hulu. We all got HBO Max. We have some type of subscription. Now, when Netflix first came out, Netflix had a couple of shows on there, a couple of movies. It was trending, but people were still going to Redbox. We were still doing the thing. Netflix was only $5. But as Netflix started to grow and started to get better, they started to up the add more movies. They started to add more shows. The quality got better. And when the quality started to get better, so did the price. The price had to go up. And I say that because we still paid for Netflix, right? When Hulu first came out, Hulu was only like $5. Hulu now is about $8 to $11 because the quality went up, right? When your phone bill first came out, if you got a basic line, it's going to be cheaper. But if you have all the extra things, insurance, X, Y, and Z, the price is going to be up, right? So as you grow and get better, you see what I'm saying? That 2015 version of you and that 2020 version of you, the quality has went up, right? So why are you allowing people who have a old access to you to treat you as if you still that older version when the quality has went up? If that's the case, then you might as well just go ahead and tell them to cancel their subscription with you. And I tell you to tell them to cancel their subscription with you because if you cannot respect my boundaries, you cannot have access to me. Because this is the thing is that ain't nobody calling Netflix right now and telling them, hey, I need you to lower your price, although the quality is great. Ain't nobody calling Hulu and telling them, hey, I need you to lower your price because this is what I bought in the very beginning, but y'all raised the price up. Because they going to tell you that either you cancel your subscription or you make the payment as necessary. So I tell you this right now, cancel your subscription with me if you cannot respect my boundaries. Cancel your subscription with me if I got to keep constantly reinforcing my boundaries with you, because I'm going to be 100% with you. You have one time to cross my boundaries and I got to get you out of there, because I already know that the moment that you cross my boundaries the first time, and this is the reason why family is always doing it. Family is one of the hardest ones besides yourself, because the moment that you let it slide once, they feel like as if they have a VIP access pass to continue to keep doing it. The moment that you give somebody a freebie once, they automatically believe that your services are now free and then get mad when you start charging. So the moment that you allow somebody, especially family, to cross your boundary, you might as well either prepare to stand firm or go ahead and just pull that gate down, because they doing whatever they want until told otherwise. So I got to say this right now. If you cannot respect my boundaries, if you can't respect the boundary, then you might as well go ahead and cancel your subscription with me, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not about to keep reinforcing my boundaries with you. Lastly, friends, and I can't stress this one right here enough. Communication is key when it comes down to boundaries. Communication is key. And a lot of people want to carry the friends. A lot of us want to have lifelong friends. We want to have lifelong friends. Give me a second real quick. A lot of us want to have lifelong friends. You know, the friend that you know since you was 10 and now here y'all are in your 30s and y'all still friends. We want to have that. But the reality is that we don't understand that we grow as people. I lost friends that I thought were going to be in the rest of my life, going to be in my life for the rest of my life, because our viewpoints honestly just went two different ways. If I hanged with him, I would never be able to think the way that I think now. If I still maintain that type of connection, my growth would be dwindled. You get where I'm going? My growth would be dwindled. And the thing is that the hardest part about friends is that we don't understand when to let them go. And just like your family, your friends, they always want to say, you know, I knew you before this. I knew you before the military. I knew you before the money. I knew you before X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you did, but that person died. I'm going to just be 100% with you. That person died when I birthed a new version of me. Two versions of me do not exist at the exact same time. And the thing is that if my friends can't respect that, then how are they supposed to be my friends? A lot of people can't grow as people. We can't grow as emotional, intelligent human beings because we got dumbass friends. We can't take it to the next level because our friends still at level 1. And you can't even focus on going to level 10 because you constantly carrying your friend through level 1, 2, 3, 4 because their mindset ain't there. And the thing is that sometimes you gotta learn to let them go. That's why I say that before you set boundaries with anybody, you gotta be able to set them with yourself. And those boundaries that you setting with yourself are prerequisites of access with you. If you ain't thinking the way that I'm thinking, then you got to get the fuck up out of here. If you ain't trying to grow, you got to get up out of here. If you're not trying to grow as a human, get more, create something better for yourself, you got to get out of there. And the thing is that when you say that, you got to stand firm on it. A lot of people think that, your friends are the ones that are propelling you to success, but sometimes your friends may be the anchor that's holding you back from getting to your success because you constantly got to keep drawing in the sand new boundaries. You got to constantly keep reassessing how you want to carry yourself with them. So if you're going to set boundaries, set them with yourself. Reinforce them when you're dealing with your family, but definitely reinforce them with your friends. And if you're worried about losing a friend, I'm going to just be 100% honest with you. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. As you grow, you are going to attract the people that are supposed to be in your life. You're going to attract the people that are going to respect your boundaries. You're going to attract the people that's got the same type of mindset that you have. And you're going to lose you're going to lose people that do not have that type of mindset. Just the honest truth. But the reality is that cancel your subscription with me. Cancel your subscription with me if you cannot make the payment. Just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Stay tuned Mondays and Fridays. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Meech Speaks. Once again, that's Meech Speaks. Meech is spelled Meech. Don't forget to share this podcast, subscribe to this podcast, follow this podcast, pass this podcast to somebody because this podcast was dedicated to helping everyone become a better version of themselves. Even though I don't know what that type of version is, I just know that you can be better. Lastly, don't forget to grab your copy of The Extraordinary Thought from The Ordinary Mind, available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. I think there's an electrical copy. You know what it is. Stay hungry, stay motivated. I'm out.